We need to have an
My
executive
sincere
session too.
apologies on behalf of the town council.
About the
Could I have your attention, please? My sincere apologies to all of you on behalf of the town council. A matter of a great deal of urgency has come before the council and that we need to address right now. So we're gonna have to have a closed session. I don't anticipate that it's gonna last over about 15 minutes, but I don't really know. So just wanna let you all know that. And please understand that we would not be doing this if it wasn't a very, very important decision we need to make.
Where's Cindy? Cindy coming?
I don't know. I heard
Can't
it.
imagine not.
You know what else is a virtue? Punctuality. Punctuality is a virtue.
I can't say anything because I've been late the last couple of meetings.
It's okay if I scold y'all over here.
Yes, please. We need it. Here she is. She's about right on top. Can I borrow this?
Good afternoon, Ms. Quitch. How are you?
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. I want to welcome you all to the town council budget session. Thank you for attending. I hope you'll be patient while we go into closed session. Kim, would you call a roll, please?
Mr. Bradley?
Here.
Ms. Quetch?
Here.
Mr. Webb?
Here.
Ms. Patterson?
Here.
And Mayor Craig?
Here.
And I would like to make a motion to move that the Abingdon Town Council convene in closed session to discuss the following as permitted by Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1, a personnel matter involving consideration or interviews of candidates for employment or appointments.
Have
I'll
a
second.
motion by Mr. Webb to go into closed session. Is there a second?
Yeah, second.
Second by Ms. Patterson. Any discussion? Kim, call a roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig?
Aye.
Pretty good.
Okay, thank you for your patience. We can begin our regular meeting now.
We need to come out of closed session.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion, we come out of closed session.
So move.
Motion by Mr. Bradley, second by Mr. Webb. Any discussion? Kim, call roll, please.
Mr. Bradley?
Aye.
Ms. Quetch?
Aye.
Mr. Webb?
Aye.
Ms. Patterson?
Aye.
And Mayor Craig.
Aye. Kim, would you do the same?
Whereas the council of the town of Abingdon, Virginia has convened in a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with provisions set forth in the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. Whereas section 2.23712D of the Code of Virginia, 1950 as amended, requires a certification by the town council that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the council of the town of Abingdon, Virginia hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from an open meeting requirement by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies. And only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, considered by the town council. Mr. Bradley?
I so certify.
Ms. Quetch?
I so certify.
Mr. Webb?
I so certify.
Ms. Patterson?
I so certify.
And Mayor Craig.
I so certify.
Thanks, sir.
The only item on our agenda is non-departmental requests. As you call,
Are we doing 5 minutes, sir?
Kim, go ahead.
Are we doing the 5-minute presentation, or are you?
Yeah, please keep your presentation 5 minutes if you would.
The first presenter is Kathy Lowe and Mark Graham with Virginia Holland Small Business Incubator.
Now, why did you ask, why did you look at me when you said please keep it?
I think you can guess.
Please be sure to silence your phones before the meeting, while the meeting's in progress. I tried to tell you, but you didn't hear me.
I can't hear, I forgot my hearing aid.
Uh-oh.
I'll speak loud.
Just kidding.
May I approach?
Yes.
This is what we turned in
Thank
to
you.
Mr. Banner, along with the, audit. So I just thought I'd give you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. I didn't get my name, did you? Did you get any of these?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'm Mark Graham. I'm the president of the Virginia Highlands Small Business Incubator Board. So I'm happy to be with you today on this first day of spring. I'd like to recognize a couple of our board members that are present. They're town appointees. We have Carolyn Kelly here with us today and Gary Lester. So we appreciate them being here as well. So. And most of you know, I think our executive director, Kathy Lowe, who has been in that position 5 years now, and as someone who herself was a self-made, successful small business person, she is certainly the ideal person to be leading our effort over at the incubator. So I want to thank you all for your past support of the incubator. As illustrated in, I think, the materials that you've received, the incubator is a successful partnership between the town of Abingdon and Washington County. The town appoints, as you know, 4 board members to our board, and the county appoints 4, and together those 8 members appoint an at-large member, and that's me for right now. So this all-volunteer board provides oversight of the incubator as well as the director, promotes the incubator, supports its mission, and if you haven't been by the incubator lately, I hope that you'll come by and see some of the good work going on there. Pursuant to the memorandum of agreement between the town and the county and the Federal Economic Development Authority grant, which I believe Member Bradley over here was involved in helping secure, the municipalities share equally in the incubator's net operating deficit, which is simply the difference between its annual operating income and expenses. So I want to give you kind of a high-level overview of our budget request, and if you have specific questions, Kathy that deals with the day-to-day budget knows more of those answers, and she can help answer those if you have questions. But the incubator building, as you know, is over on in the Stone Mill Business and Technology Park. It's approximately 2/3 occupied right now, and this helps generate revenue and offset the operating costs for that 40,000 square foot facility. And last fall, our budget committee, which is chaired by another of your town appointees, Mike Spiegler, who is a local CPA, reviewed estimated expenditures and revenues and came up with a proposal for this year, which our full board has approved. And we're asking for roughly $64,000 this year, a total commitment, which represents your share of that would be $32,000. So by comparison, 5 years ago, in 2014, the board sought and received more than $250,000, or $125,000 per locality. So this request this year equals approximately 25% of what the request was 5 years ago. It's important for us to note that the incubator is not requesting any capital funds this year. The board has requested capital funds over the last 5 years to help generate some reserves to help pay for a new chiller and HVAC system in the building. It's a 14-year-old building, starting to have some roof problems, so we've been trying to generate some reserves to take care of those expenses as they come up. So we want to be good stewards of the property and maintain the building well and its equipment. So our budget estimates assume that all current tenants will remain in the building during the fiscal year. So obviously, if they don't, our revenues dip down and we have to tap some operating reserves to cover the expenses. So you'll note in those numbers, I think, that are presented to you, that we are spending down some of those reserves this year to make sure we keep our budget request low. But good prudent management requires, for an operation of this size, that we maintain some modest reserves given the likelihood of fluctuations in rental income and the potential need for building repairs and replacement equipment and things of that nature. So, but hopefully most of you are aware of the incubator's work. They provide office space for startup and transitioning businesses and organizations. We've got the popular new knowledge programs, which present business topics from experts on many fields practically every other week. Those are going on. I presented one last year on employment law, which you can view for free in our archives on the website. So we sponsor the successful annual business challenge, as you know, which I think will be announced tomorrow. So the winners of that. So, but if anybody has any questions, I see my time has expired. I'll be happy to try to answer any general questions, and if you have any specific, Kathy can help with that.
I do have a couple of questions, and thank you all for coming today, and thank you for what you do for the business challenge and the new knowledge and everything like that. I believe that's a good asset for Abingdon to have that for our local business owners. I just got this from you guys. Just off the top of my head here, I just wonder about the tenant leases for this 2019-2020. You're down to 159,858. Of course, you were up from last year, 143,783. But I think you all said some more people moved in, which is wonderful, great, congratulations. But back in 2016-17, the leases were 164,517, and then beyond that, or 2017-18 was 174,394. Could y'all kind of explain that, please, so everybody can understand?
I can explain it. I think you remember the controversy that happened at the incubator when a board of supervisor went to the media and did a smear campaign. We lost 7 tenants that were concerned that their names would get dragged through the mud. So that's basically what happened.
But you gained another, this large.
We have.
Yeah.
We've gained some more.
How
you
many
know,
have
we
you
continue.
gained?
We have a new tenant who came to us through the county, and they are a technology company. They're named Wise Solutions. The owners are actually going to be the presenters at the Economic Development Forum in May in Wise at University of Virginia Wise. They have already created 7 jobs, and they have asked me for another key, which tells me that is an 8th job. Their goal is to have 25 jobs by September. We have another tenant, another new tenant, whose name is Victoria Fletcher, and she is a book publisher, and she has Hoot Books Publishing. And she represents about 25 writers in the community, and she has created an authors guild that meets at the incubator, and she has regular conferences. So she has already been accepted as tenancy. I met with someone who I referred to, Tanya Triplett, because we're working on a project to try to get someone into the technology park. I met with a occupational therapist who I can't name right now, and they want to start in the incubator and hope that their business grows. And so I referred them to Tanya to see if, to find out what the guidelines are of the technology parks. I think Al probably knows the technology park was set up as a mixed-use park, and it is shovel-ready. And so it already has its own guidelines and already has its own ordinance. There's one of the town ordinances covers that park. So, Tanya met with them to let them know what the town's requirements are, and I've kind of, for obvious reasons, have kind of kept a hands-off approach to town business. And I generally will try to refer that to Tanya for, for her counsel.
That's fair enough.
I do.
Yeah. Fair
Wayne said
enough.
bull, but.
Well, I met with Secretary of Trade and Commerce in Richmond, and I did put a plug in to hope to get some more tenants down there for our business park. And I'm looking forward to seeing who wins the business challenge tomorrow. And thank you all so much for coming again.
You're welcome, and I do hope that you all come. We had 22 folks, and we've got some fantastic businesses that are either gonna start and expand through this, and, we've got like a 50-some% success rate on our business challenge of businesses that are on Main Street in Washington County, which is kind of unheard of, and this has been a 6-year program. The town of Abingdon got on board the very first year, and we thank you for that. $5,000 makes a big difference for the community, I think. So thank you.
Kathy, I have one quick question.
Thank
These Wise Solutions, are they technology
Yes.
type jobs? So they're well.
They started at cybersecurity, but they, and I don't know a lot about their business, but I do know that they are in the state procurement pipeline, and they bid on contracts, technology contracts throughout the state. And it seems like every time they get a new contract, they hire another employee.
There's some former folks that were over at CGI in Lebanon, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Kind of spun that off, so.
Thank you very much. Mark.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see you all too. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you all.
The second
more
presenter is
plug,
Brad.
I'm sorry, one more plug for the town's activities. Tanya brought the VEDP folks to the technology park like 2 times, and we toured them around the technology park and the incubator, so they're pretty aware of it, but I think she's staying on top of some of that.
I know she is.
Yeah, I do too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Second presenter is Brad Farmer with Faith in Action.
Thank you. Can I present some?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Everything's hidden by continuation.
I'm Brad Farmer. I'm the Executive Director at Ecumenical Faith in Action. We're located at 798 Hillman Highway in Abingdon, and we also operate the New Life Thrift Store, which is located at 246 West Main Street in downtown Abingdon. What I've passed out to you is our program report for the prior year of 2018. At the thrift shop, when anyone comes to our food pantry, any family that comes through, we give them a $20 gift certificate to get free clothing and shoes as part of what we offer. We try to help people with clothing, food, and shelter as kind of the basic things that we provide for the community. So every family that comes through gets a $20 gift card. And last year, over 6,300 of those were redeemed. And that's over 500 households per month that we're providing clothing to. And that's through the donations that we receive at both our locations from the public. The thrift store value of those certificates redeemed was over $95,000 that we passed out in free clothing. That's $20,000 more than the previous year. We're mainly a volunteer-run organization. At the thrift shop itself, our volunteers average 670 hours a month, so over 8,000 volunteer hours were logged during the year last year there. So we're blessed to have people that support what we do and are willing to give their time and volunteer there. At the food pantry, which is the location at Hillman Highway where I work, we pass out food to an monthly average of 850 families. And those families are in Abingdon, Virginia, and Washington County only. We only service the Washington County area out of our facilities. We passed out food over 10,200 times last year through that location. The estimated retail value of that was well over $1 million. Over 500 new families received food from us in 2018. That was 50 more families new than the year before. That includes a monthly high of over 1,000 children in the month of November that were serviced through our facility. Our volunteers at the food pantry work an average of almost 430 hours per month. And
It was set for 3, go ahead.
okay, and that we logged over 5,000 volunteer hours there as well. So again, majority of the work that is done there is done on a volunteer basis. We have very few. I'm the only full-time employee at the food pantry, and we have 3 part-time employees. And then the thrift shop, we have 2 full-time employees and 2 part-time employees. And again, the majority of what is done is through volunteer work. So crisis assistance, we provided over $165,000 in crisis assistance, and those are checks that we write out ourselves to Appalachian Power, to the town of Abingdon to help people with their water, to Washington County Service Authority, and to landlords. We don't give cash to people individually. We write it to whoever they owe their bills to. So we help people if they get an eviction notice to be able to stay in their home if they're getting evicted. If people get a termination notice from Appalachian Power, we help them be able to pay that so that they don't lose their power. We also host Crossroads Medical, and they come every Tuesday and they offer free medical care to people that are uninsured there. So that's not our service, but we just let them use our facility to be able to see clients there. Last year they saw over 670 people at no charge, and they're volunteers. They're a volunteer-based organization. They average almost 100 hours a month just at our location alone. So we're blessed to have them there. Another thing we've done that we just recently started that is of no cost or nothing, we're not spending any money on it. We're allowing our facility to be used on Thursday nights for drug and alcohol classes, like in an AA or NA type meetings that we have there that are faith-based. And we have a local ministry that's coming in and offering those. So we think that the drug crisis is so large, we wanted to try to step in and do something to try to help that. So we're offering free classes at our facility for people to be able to come that have addiction issues to be able to get help with no cost to them. And that's, again, no cost to us. My wife and I purchased we feel so strongly about it, we purchased the materials for the class out of our own pocket to be able to provide that because we feel so strongly about that. I would also like to, if I have a moment to be able to do so, plug the other companies and organizations that help us, just in case they're coming in front of you today, so you'll know the ones that really help us. Food City is amazing. They're very helpful to us. Feeding America of Southwest Virginia, we're one of their partner organizations, and they're extremely beneficial to us and help feed so many families in this community, not just through us, but through many other partners. Crossroads Medical, they're a local organization based out of Bristol, and they offer free medical care they come to our location on Tuesday, but they're at other locations throughout the month, and they do a great job. People Incorporated, of course, partners with us, and we partner with them quite a bit. And then Appalachian Sustainable Development. They have a garden on our property that we let them use our property to grow the garden. So that's all I have. And we thank thank you for your support and hope you'll continue to do so. We feel like we're vital. We're kind of like a safety net for people that may not qualify for different government agencies. They can come to us. We're not an income source by any means. We have very strict guidelines as to how you qualify for us. Anyone that wants to come by, I'll walk you through and show you our system of, the enrollment forms they have to use to apply with us, the process they have to go through to get an appointment with us for the aid. And then we also have a 12-month waiting period. If you come and get assistance from us, we have a 12-month waiting period before you're eligible again from help. And of course, if you have a house fire or, lose a family member, things like that, we will make an exception because we are human and we realize that, you can have more than one financial issue in a year's time. So, but as a general rule, we have a 12-month waiting period.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Did I hear you correctly? Did your organization pay out $165,000 in
That's
assistance?
correct. We average over $3,000 per week that we write out in the checks. We actually help sign those that we pay out through the Appalachian Power, local landlords, which again would just be in the Washington County area. Washington County Service Authority for the utility bill there, Town of Abingdon for the utility bill there. We write those out ourselves from our budget, and the money that you all put toward that will go to either food or benevolence. So the money that you give to us will either be used to purchase food for the food pantry so that people are fed, or will go into the fund to help pay for, light bills, housing, things of that nature.
Do you have several churches that partner with you?
We do. We are very blessed. We have several churches that work our food pantry schedule, and I'm the one that does that each year. Larry did it before me. I took his place. We have a rotating schedule of every 8 weeks. So like Abingdon Baptist, for instance, if they were to serve this week, then 8 weeks from now, it'd be their rotation again. And the churches just have whoever in their church that kind of heads up their volunteers for Faith in Action. And we're open on Monday from 10 to 1 at the food pantry, Tuesday night from 5 p.m. to 7, and Friday from 10 to 1. And then we do the appointments for crisis assistance on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We had over 9 families come in yesterday and ask for help or who were on our list, and we have about 6 or 7 more coming in today that will be helping get in some form or fashion with their either electric bill or rent, something of that nature.
I didn't quite catch the 12-month waiting period. Was that for folks that need the help, or is that for, okay?
Yeah, things that can
After
come
they've
one time
already
per month.
applied.
I can't, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do what?
For financial aid.
Yeah.
If you come in for financial aid, like if you need to pay your rent one month, if you have an eviction notice, and you come in and ask us to pay for help, we log it through QuickBooks. We have a system where, we pull your last name up, and we can see the date we helped, how much we helped, and who the check was made to. We also have a filing cabinet, and somebody calls. To get on our appointment list, you have to call our crisis hotline, which is a voicemail. And we have everyone do that so that we log when the call came in, what their need was for, and I'm the one that keeps that log. And that way, if somebody calls back, 2 or 3 weeks later, we can track if we've helped you or not already, and all that through the QuickBooks, and then, of course, our filing system as well.
Do you have a long waiting list?
Usually, if you call today for help, we probably see you next Wednesday or Thursday, one of those days. Now, we will make exceptions to that. If somebody calls today and says, I've tried every way possible, but my power's gonna get turned off tomorrow, my food pantry hours are 10 to 1, I'll have them come in and meet me about 1:15 tomorrow, and I'll work over, to help someone that needs help. That's what we're there for, is to help people. So I've even done a couple of appointments on Saturdays for people that work Monday through Friday during our normal hours. I'll come in on a Saturday and meet someone and help them if we need to.
We certainly appreciate that,
Thank
all
you.
the volunteer
Yes, we
and
do.
everything that you do for our citizens.
Thank you all
Thank
for
you.
your support. We're blessed to call Abingdon our home. We love being able to support this community.
Thank you.
y'all.
Thank you.
The next presenter is David Millsap with Feeding America, Southwest Virginia.
Hello, Mr. Mayor and council members. I am David Millsap. I am the branch director for Feeding America Southwest Virginia. We're located at 21452 Gravel Lake Road here in Abingdon, right at the top of the hill behind the concrete plant. Feeding America was founded in 1981 and proudly commemorates 38 years of fighting hunger and changing lives through community partnerships. For the last 3.5 decades, the Food Bank's ultimate mission has remained the same: eliminate hunger in the region. In 2018, Feeding America Southwest Virginia, the Abingdon facility distributed 8 million pounds of food, which equates to a value of $11.5 million. This comprised of 71% donated food, 8% purchased food, and 21% USDA. In Washington County, Virginia, there are 5,290 individuals, which equates to 9.7% are food insecure. Food insecurity refers to the lack of access to enough food, enough good, healthy, cultural appropriate food. It means that individuals and their families worry about paying for groceries, where their next meal might come from, or cutting back on food in order to pay their bills. Our mission is to feed Southwest Virginia's hungry through a network of partners and engage our region in the fight to end hunger. The Abingdon branch is staffed by 9 employees. We serve primarily as a food distribution center. We collect food donated by retail stores, food manufacturers, the USDA, food drives, individuals, farms, and restaurants. We inspect that food to make sure that it is safe and consumable. We then supply that food to charitable programs, which in turn distribute it to clients, such as Ecumenical Faith in Action, Highlands Fellowship, It's a God Thing. Each of those are located here in Washington County. Feeding America Southwest Virginia helps the most vulnerable residents of our community. Low-income individuals, families, children, seniors, the disabled, unemployed and underemployed, and the working poor. In Washington County, we supplied 782,882 pounds of food to 12 assistance programs last year. Food supplied to Feeding America Southwest Virginia enabled these programs to enabled us to provide groceries to 4,700 individuals, which equated to an on-site number of meals at 3,982. And at our Abingdon facility, we are home to the Harvest Home Community Kitchen, where we provide meals 3 days a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We distribute meals as carry-out meals from 10 until 1, which consist of a home-cooked meal, an entree, a salad, a vegetable, a dessert, and bread. An average of 2,700 meals are served each month. An average of 583 individuals get those meals for their family each month. Without food from Feeding America Southwest Virginia, many of the Southwest Virginia safety net organizations would be hard-pressed to sustain their charitable feeding programs. Many men, women, children living in Southwest Virginia are not eating properly. Our area lags behind the state levels of unemployment and income. Feeding America Southwest Virginia donates, Feeding America Southwest Virginia is funded primarily through private and corporate donations and private grants. We do receive a small amount of funding from local counties and towns. We operate on a very small percentage for management, which is 4.2%. 95.8% of every dollar donated goes to assist those in need. With issues of continued unemployment in the coal fields and decreased funding from corporate partners, the need for funding is greater. I encourage you to visit our Abingdon facility. I know that Cindy has been up. Please fund the full amount requested of $11,000. I thank you for your time. Any questions?
Thank you, David.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all for what you do for this community.
Thank you.
It's well needed.
We're very blessed to be there, and we believe in giving back to helping those in need. I do encourage you when we have elected official day in the fall to come up and volunteer with us. You'll see some of your other partners within the state, within also some of the other counties, elected officials from state and federal we've had there before. So it's always a good time. We won't work you too hard.
It's
Thank you.
fun.
Have a good
It's fun.
You
afternoon.
can't work me too hard, I'll tell you that right now.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next presenter is David Barrett with Appalachian Independence Center.
Yeah, I did too. Bring it back and put a question.
Well, Mr. Mayor and members of council, thank you for allowing us to apply and ask for some of your non-departmental funding. I'm David Barrett with Appalachian Independence Center. We're located at 230 Charwood Drive in the Kaiser Building on that end of town, west. We are the Center for Independent Living for the entire Mount Rogers Planning District region. And if you know that region, you know it's quite large. So we cover a lot of area, and we do that by having an office in Abingdon, an office in Withville, and an office in Galax. Our outreach comes out of those three offices. We work with people who have significant disabilities, and our mission is to advocate for and with persons with disabilities to promote full participation in society. That's a broad mission, but we do that one individual at a time through a core set of services that include advocacy, peer counseling, independent living skills, information and referral, and transitions. And we have two types of transitions. We work with youth who are disabled, who are transitioning from high school to community or college life, and we work with other people who are in institutions, nursing homes, who need and want to leave that institution and go into their own home in their own community. And we will work with that transition to make it happen. We work with a variety of other agencies. Many in this room we work with and collaborate with. We also have an exclusive with the Virginia Housing Development Authority. They have two programs that they exclusively let Centers for Independent Living manage, and that is the Rental Unit Accessibility Modification Grant and the Granting Freedom Grant. The first is a grant to make accessibility modifications to rental property for a consumer who has that need. The other is a grant for veterans who need home modifications and accessibility improvements. Those two offer a $6,000 grant each, and we write the grant, administer the grant, get the contractor, have it implemented, and do that for the VHDA. We have a variety of other services that are technical assistance type services. We work with many other organizations. We provide a lot of technical assistance on accessibility, making improvements to a facility with accessibility changes. We've worked with the Henry College. We've worked with, just recently, the William King Center, gave them some advice on their construction projects that they have going on right now. And those are some of the places we will go to and provide that technical assistance service. Our consumers have no eligibility requirements for our services. So there's no income issues and there's no age issues when it comes to services that we provide. So we can work with anyone. We specialize in helping them obtain their Social Security disability or their SSI, work with Medicaid and Medicare benefits and services, and work with insurance companies to make sure that our consumers are getting and benefiting best as they can from those services that they pay for. We don't keep records that divide town residents from county residents, but in Washington County we average 32 to 35 people a year for our direct core services. Most of those are a lot of Abingdon residents, and we just last year, from talking with my staff, we had 2 accessibility modifications, which were ramps and bathroom improvements in a home. One was a grant that we got. One was a project that was provided by Columbia Baptist Church Mission, who comes once a year to Washington County and this area and does benevolent work and improves homes for people who need that. All in all, we served 168 consumers last year with the full core of services, and we'll work with all kinds of agencies and collaborate with them at events like we had the Washington County Senior Day down at the Farmers Market. Our staff was involved very much with that in its planning and running the booth, and we had the Southwest Virginia Veterans Expo at the Higher Ed Center. We were there participating in that and offering veterans information that of services we can provide. I have a veteran on the staff. Steve Haley here in Abingdon is a veteran. He works with our veterans, and he's become very specialized in working with the VA and their programs that they offer several multiple projects of grants that can help a veteran in a very large way. All in all, we have worked with the town of Abingdon. Town of Abingdon has been a great help to AIC. You've participated in offering us match funds for our budget, and I want to thank you for that and hope that you will look kindly on our request this year. And it's a small amount, but it will be used in a big way. And thank you for the opportunity to be here today, and if you have a question, I'll try to answer that.
Any questions, Gil?
Thank you
very much.
Thank you for
Yeah,
helping
thank
the
you.
citizens of Abingdon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Our wizard is out. Thank you. Our next presenter is Becky Caldwell with Virginia Highlands Festival.
Well, thank you so much for having me here and for your support of the Highlands Festival. Just last Friday, I celebrated 20 years in festival producing, and I cannot think of a better place to be right now at this point in my life and career. I've noticed around the room that there are a lot of people in here right now who are involved in the festival, or their organizations are involved in the festival. I'd like to ask if y'all would stand up. Anyone involved in the festival, would you please stand up? I know you're a partner, Oh my gosh, there's more than I even thought. Can we just thank them, please? We don't do this by ourselves. Thank you so much for working with us. I mean, what an amazing community we get to live in. Now, you understand the importance of tourism to our local economy. And we like to think of ourselves as the tourism sampler pack. So people come to Abingdon during the Highlands Festival in the summer, and they get to try out all the amazing things that Abingdon has to offer. Then they come back, and some people, like me, actually end up moving here. We are known for our big summer event, but now we are truly a year-round organization. You're supporting a year-round presence that we have in our community. Coming up in just a few weeks, April 13th, we are partnering with the Washington County Public Library to present the first ever Highlands Writers Fair. April 25th to 27th, we're starting a brand new festival for us. Well, technically this is year 4, but we were piloting it as a one-day event the last 3 years. And it's called Plein Air Abingdon. So that's April 25th to the 27th. The final day coincides with Creeper Fest. So Creeper Fest is doing outdoor recreation, and we're providing the artistic component of that. Throughout the year, we presented a series of chef's table dinners that have supported our local chefs who, I don't know if you've read the recent publications that have come out, but Vogue is starting to notice us. I feel fancier now. But we're supporting our local farmers, our local small businesses, and our stature in the greater cuisine community. Last year, we added culinary arts and traditions as a festival programming category. This year, the big news for the summer, we are adding another program category, because why rest, you know? Who needs sleep? We're doing kinetic art and robotics this year. And the way that we are presenting that to the community, I mean, this is truly a community effort. We're doing shows at the William King Museum on your lawn. We're working with the Higher Ed Center and their STEM camp to involve kids in this process. We're bringing in a puppet maker and a kinetic sculptor from Richmond to teach kids how to make puppets, how to make things that work together, that interlock and work together, and then taking it a step further and teaching them that when you know how to do that in 3D in real life, you can more easily apply that to computer life and 3D model these things. And we're telling this all through a story. So during the festival, from July 25th, which is technically the day before the festival starts, through August 2nd, we are going to be creating an immersive theater experience for our community and for our visitors, and telling this story of the Wolf Crystal, which was written by our resident, Greg Lilly, right there. He took local folklore and wrote a brand new story that we can tell with giant puppets, with robots, with flying drones. I mean, we're planning an aerial battle out at the fairgrounds. Don't worry, town of Abingdon, you'll be fine. We'll set that all out there. But we're really involving everybody in this story and involving our visitors in experiencing the story. It'll be told at 5 different locations throughout the town, encouraging people to go visit Abingdon, to get past the Creeper Trail. Barter is amazing. We want people to visit Barter and the Creeper Trail, but we also want them to visit the Arts Depot, the William King Museum, to visit Lois Humphreys Park, and all of those are locations for our new kinetic art and robotics activities. So that's what we have happening this summer. Also, the other 200 programs that we always do. And I am open to any questions you might have.
Any questions, council? Thank you very much.
All right, well, thank you. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is Andrea Roden with Holston Mountain Artisan.
Good
afternoon. Again, my name is Andrea Roden. I'm the director of Holston Mountain Artisans, which is located on 214 Park Street. Attending with me are 3 of our artisans, John Dickens, Linda Childers, and Kathy Shear. Linda and John are both wood carvers, and Kathy is a local art author. Holston Mountain Artisans began as the Cave House in 1971. And with just a handful of craftspeople who were eager to sell their work at a fair price and earn respect for their efforts. Holston Mountain Artisans is a member-owned, non-profit cooperative. It's okay. Okay. That just began its 48th year. We have 122 members, and 90% of those members are within a 50-mile radius, and of those, 50 live in Washington County. Our focus is still our original mission to assist talented craftspeople from all walks of life with a sales outlet for their crafts and artwork. We place a particular emphasis on helping disadvantaged individuals. Joining our cooperative involves submitting samples to a jury of experienced artisans who in turn share their techniques, criticism, guidance, and encouragement. Further support is offered by myself and the shopkeepers on pricing and display. We've recently installed, this is 2019 by the way, a point of sale system. And so we're in the process of barcoding all the thousands of items in there. And that's gonna help us keep our inventory as well as commissions in the accounting process. We work on a very tight budget and depend on our member volunteers to help keep the co-op running smoothly. So a lot of them come in and help. This year with their dues, they had the opportunity to pay 1 set of dues, or they could do a lower set of dues and volunteer some hours. We've made significant improvements to our current home on Park Street to make it welcoming to members from all over the country. Yesterday, I actually had a lady come in from California. We're on winter hours, but I was in there working, and we never turn anybody away. And so she came in, and she was very impressed by our local, the craftsmanship of all of our artisans, and she took some things back to California with her. I would like to introduce Linda Childers now. HMA knows the importance of educating the public, so we offer classes to continue this tradition to our younger children. And Linda and John spearhead one of those, and they have a wood carvers club on Monday nights in the annex behind where we're at, the old jail. And so we also brought some things. So this is actually a piece of John's work. This reach out, and you can tell the intricacy of it. And this is Linda's, her bowl of cherries. And they both live in Abingdon. And then this is a basket from Jane Brinkman, who is from Metaview. And I am modeling a beautiful hand-beaded necklace from a lady also in Metaview. So I'll turn it over to Linda now, and she'll tell you about the carving.
Can you
Can't
show us
see
the
your
necklace that's slipped behind your,
Oh, sorry.
that's okay, behind your shirt?
Now,
That's
is that
pretty.
better?
There it is. Everything's pretty.
I am Linda Childers, and I'm wearing a bracelet and earrings that came from Coastal Mountain Artisans. We always try to promote our shop and get the word out. And if someone says, "Where did you?" "Oh, I like that. Where'd you get it?" It's get a chance to talk about it. We are, John and my main interest is in working with the youth. We both are retired and come from a background in education. John with the public school system, and me with law extension. And I retired as the extension agent here in Washington County 15 years ago. And so we're especially interested in working with the young people right now, and we take any opportunity we get to try to get them involved, and not necessarily just in carving, but we say to them, "Look, don't you want to be a maker? What can you make? Can you make cookies? Can you make carvings? Can you make whatever?" We want them to learn to not just think technology. We want them to develop some making skills. So that's what we're that's our goal with that. We also, as part of our one of our goals with Coastal Mountain Artisans is heritage crafts, and so we talk a little history with that. When we do a place, John will talk with them about, when the settlers came in here, their axes didn't have handles. They had to make handles. They had to make their bowls. They had to make those things. So we try to have them take a look at things and decide what they can do and how they want to work with it. I have lots of things here that I could show you about how we teach kids, but one of the things that really made us know that this was probably something that we needed to stay with. We're doing a demonstration, an all-day demonstration one Saturday up in the parking lot at Coastal Mountain Artisans, and we had this little 10-year-old fellow that stayed there with us all day long carving. We were bundling up our tent and getting ready to leave. His mother had picked him up. She rolled around the corner, rolled her window down, and said, "Michael said this is better than recess." So we thought, "Oh, we got him." We got him interested. We may not have him as a part, but I know my time's up, so I won't go on to talk about what we do. But we try to make kids think what they can do. We tell any carver, whether it's an adult or a child, if you try to do exactly what I do or what John does, picture that just went through is John's fish. They want to do John's fish. They can't do John's fish. He's done that for 60 years. Do what you can do. And if you can do this, it starts with the same thing that John's fish did. And I apologize for going over. So, any questions?
I'd like to make a comment. I did a project for the Washington County Leadership School. I call it a school, but I'm going to. And I did it on the Holston Mountain, and I was very intrigued and all the items you all have in your facility. I'd like to encourage all of our locals to go in and shop there. There's soap and quilts and all kinds of like gift cards and everything. And one of the things that intrigued me, which there was a lot of things, but one that stood out in my mind was the ball canning jars, the depression blue color. They make those into necklaces and jewelry as well. And that was really pretty. It was set up pretty too. But everything was wonderful.
Well, you like to encourage recycling, and that's a.
Yeah.
Jenny, why don't you go over and buy me something?
What would you like, Wayne?
Would you like
They
my
have,
pretty necklace?
they have honey and they have jams. They have all kinds of things. that
And
are-
if you wanna learn to carve, come Monday nights, we have a carving class every Monday nights, adults and children. We got a family of 3 little boys now, 8, 10, and 12, coming to carve with us, and they're doing good.
Yeah, and you have a unique way that you all got in, I guess, business, if you will, or how you got started. So I'm glad that you all are there. I'm glad you're teaching history and culture to the children and also to adults. That's a wonderful program, or 5013C.
Thank
And
you
what do
very
you
much,
want?
ladies.
What do you want,
I want a
honey?
necklace,
Do you want a necklace or you want honey?
I want the masculine version of that.
Okay,
We'll find you one.
thank you all.
We'll get somebody to make you some cufflinks.
Thank you.
Come, we have all kinds of festivals during the summer. Come visit us, we'd love to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Come
much.
carve with us.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is Martha Keys with the Historic Society.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Martha Keys, representing the Historical Society of Washington County at 341 West Main. You have a handout from me if you will. I will not belabor the details that are on it. First, I want to say that my grandfather was one of the founding members of the Holston Mountain Artisan. Always have. I'm very proud of my grandfather, and that kind of leads into what we do with the Historical Society. We're all very proud of our heritage, whatever it may be, and at the Society we want to find items from that heritage, we want to preserve them, we want to store them, or in the case of pick them up, scan it, and make it available so that future generations can see just what their grandfathers and their great-grandfathers and mothers participated in and did, and maybe what they looked like, or when they got married, or, you know, it's just history and heritage are so intertwined. And we're all proud to live in Abingdon, and we're all proud to be citizens of Washington County. I moved away, I saw the light, I came back. But I think we offer a great service to the community, and it's almost an intangible because you can't put money, you can't monetize quality of life, you can't monetize heritage, you can't monetize the value of walking in and seeing your great-great-grandmother's, a 1776 marriage record that belonged to your family, and we have those. We have them scanned from the courthouse. And I think that's very important. I spent 2 days this week, Sunday and Monday, taking a couple from Long Island, New York, around the county and Abingdon, tracing some of her heritage. And they stayed at the Martha. They went to the Barter while they were here. They put gas in their car. They put food in their stomachs in many of the Abingdon restaurants. And they came to us, and they found all sorts of stuff. Land grants from the 1700s signed by James Monroe when he was governor of Virginia, not president. They went away very excited. It is an unfortunate thing that I think it's unfortunate, and you'll see it on your list, that 3/4 of our visitors, 3/4 of people are just like that couple from Long Island, New York. They come from somewhere besides here. We have more support and more members nationwide than we have from our own county and our own town. We are an undiscovered treasure, in my opinion. Now, having said all that, we've been around for 83 years. The town has been extremely instrumental and extremely helpful in keeping us going. You have provided us a home for a good part of that time, and we're very grateful. we finally took the leap and grew up and bought our own house. We had the first building we've ever had, and we are dealing with all the things that new homeowners deal with, like AC units that go out and mortgage, and oh my gosh, we have to move the snow ourselves now, you know. So it's a learning experience for us, but we appreciate your support in the past, and I would certainly like to see the support continue in the continuation funding level. Thank you so much.
Thank
Any
you.
questions?
I don't have any questions, but I did attend your open house and I've visited the Historic Society. It's very nice. It's neat laid out. It is very helpful to a lot of citizens in Abingdon. Like you say, 3/4 of the population that comes in is, you know, they're visitors. But it is necessary for record keeping and looking into your history, your genealogy. And there's several volunteers that volunteer there. And I know you work hard to help people. And
We're all volunteer staff with the exception of one 20-hour employee.
we appreciate what you do and how
Thank
you
you all
keep
so
our
much.
records so neat.
Come see us sometime.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's set this up here. So the next person can.
Our next presenter is David McLeish with Abingdon Farmers Market.
Certainly.
Mayor, council members, my name's David McLeish. I'm the market manager for the Abingdon Farmers Market. I took it over last September. The paper I just handed out, the very top, we started counting customers back in 2017. We count 20 minutes of every hour and multiply that by 3. We had 30,482 customers come through in 2017. Last year, we had a 6% increase. And we also did a survey with our customers to get an idea how much they're spending at the market. And based off of a $20 to $25 average per customer, you can see that in 2017, it was in between 609,000 and 762,000 is the estimated that's coming through the market, that those customers are now going into town, getting lunch, maybe staying in town, shopping at some of the other shops. I'm trying to work with the downtown businesses and collaborate that we're sending people to each other, let them know where we're at and where they're at. Statistics show that 68% of what is spent in local businesses stays in the local economy. So based on that and based on a projected 6% increase in customer base again this year, it should be about $465,000 to $582,000 being spent in the local economy. We draw a regular customer base from as far away as Norton, Johnson City, Bristol, Kingsport, Wytheville, and Boone. I have also talked to people that have come down from Roanoke specifically to come to the market because they saw something that we posted and they wanted it. We've been voted the #1 farmers market in Southwest Virginia by the readers of the Virginia Living magazine in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, and 18. We'll know in May how we did for 2019. I know that we're one of the top 3. They won't tell me any more than that. So that's where the farmers market's at right now. Our full season starts April 2nd on Tuesday, 3 to 6, and on Saturday, April 6th, will be the 8 to 1. So, is there any questions?
I attend quite frequently.
Yep, I've seen you there.
I'm always impressed, Dick.
Thank you. I've seen Cindy there too. I think I've seen a couple others there on occasion.
I enjoy the farmer's market. I'm so thankful that we have it. I think we.
I don't do any shopping.
You're better off sometimes. Okay, well, thank you for your time.
Thank you for what you all do for the community.
Thank you, sir. Our next presenter is Richard Rose with the Barter Theater.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How are you all doing? For those of you that don't know me, I'm Richard Rose, Barter Theater. We live right next door. Or at least most of our stuff lives right next door. I'm going to bore you with a bunch of statistics and just and try to not take up too much of your time. Our attendance for last year within our programs in Abingdon, Virginia was over 160,000 people. All programs combined for Abingdon, we've served over 250,000 people through all of our programs, including those outside the region and on tour nationally. If you want some Washington County statistics, over 30,453 patrons from Washington County saw a show at Barter Theater last year. It's a pretty good percentage of the county. The student matinee was about 4,500 students made up student matinees at Barter Theater from Washington County. The Barter Youth Academy served 1,625 kids from Washington County. Project Real worked with 1,585 students from Washington County. And in other workshops and programs within the region that worked with Washington County students, there were 254 in our other school, in and out of school programs. So that's just a little bit of what we do. You know our effect on culture, our effect on education. We also work with the programs for the Virginia Highlands Festival. Rotary does their programs in our theater. The community college does things that, and we have an affiliation with Emory and Henry College that is pretty successful. Economic impact of Barter Theater right now is estimated to be about $42 million on the local economy and about 480 jobs that rely on Barter Theater in one form or another. Just to say it, we work with Food Bank. We do barter days. We raised almost 2 tons of food for the food bank last year through that, which I think is pretty significant. And then I don't think I have anything really other important to say to you except this. We appreciate the work that you guys do. We appreciate you being stewards of our community. It's fun listening to the people that talk to you, because it's what you guys make and your funding make all these things possible and make Abingdon such a great place to live. So I will say sincerely from me and from the members of Barter Theater, we appreciate your commitment. We appreciate your service. We know what a tough job it is. So we appreciate that more than ever. And we certainly thank you for your support. It's been very important to Barter Theater. It's been very important to our continuation and to our growth. So we appreciate you greatly. Thank you very much. Questions?
I like your vest, Rick.
Hey, thanks.
That's pretty.
I've had this for a while.
Lots of dapper.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for helping our community be the best community it possibly can be through the barter and all of our assets that we have. And barter is a big asset for Abingdon. And thank you so much.
Thanks.
All
I'm
the
going to thank you,
players.
Cindy, for showing up for stuff and being there, because it's really important. And you guys get invitations, take advantage of them. I know everybody hesitates about doing that, but anytime you're there, it's important. And we appreciate that when you guys are there with things that we're doing as well.
Thank you.
Because that's what it's all about.
Thank you
We
so
are
much.
all in this together. There's no doubt about it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you all.
If you all haven't been to Camelot yet, it's excellent.
Oh, I'm glad I saw you the other day. I almost pointed you out, but I wasn't sure until I got on. I'm glad you enjoyed it, though.
Next presenter is Scott Sykes with Abingdon Main Street.
No, I'm good.
I'm the president of the board for Abingdon Main Street, and I want to make sure to introduce 2 of my fellow board members who are here with me. Doug Beatty, who is the owner, of course, of Bonfire, and Chris Lowe, who is general manager of the Martha Washington Inn. And of course, you know, our executive director, Carrie Baxter. She's here as well if you have questions that we can't answer. But let me thank you for your time and say first and foremost right up front, thank you for your support over the years. It's always a pleasure to visit with you, but I do want to speak frankly with you, and I don't want to beat around the bush. It's our understanding that there's little support for the continued funding of Abingdon Main Street. I hope that's wrong, but I don't think that it is. And if I can offer an unsolicited opinion, I think to cease funding the Main Street program would be an unwise and ill-considered decision. To be a designated Virginia Main Street community was not something that we came by easily. There are any number of towns all across the Commonwealth that would give dearly to have that designation. It is a feather in our cap. Furthermore, it's not a program that can simply be suspended for a year or set aside. It just doesn't work that way. To give up on the Main Street program is to give up on it forever. Let me say that again. To give up on the Main Street program does not mean that we simply turn the switch back on at some point down the road. And I implore you to think about the far-reaching and very public implications of such a decision. We are surrounded by communities that have leveraged the Main Street designation far more than Abingdon ever has. We live only a short distance away from towns that have poured energy and resources and support into their Main Street programs to obvious success. Part of the difference between Abingdon and those other communities is that we have not yet faced a crisis point in terms of the vitality of the downtown area. But I have to say that given the fast-changing realities of both retail and of demographics in Southwest Virginia, abandoning the program now would only heighten our chances of facing such a crisis. I've served on this board for about 7 years now, and I've seen a lot of successes. There's the overwhelming success of the Wolves Project that people know and love well, that we are currently in the process of doing again. There's the fact that Abingdon Main Street for years has managed all of the work of the beer gardens that are in no small way one reason that those Thursday jams in the summer at the Farmers Market Pavilion continue to grow in success. There's the completion and maintenance of the mural that adorns the building across from Lois Humphreys Park. There's the project that wrapped a number of our switch boxes in town with unique artwork by citizens of our town. There's the ongoing work and support of the annual Busker Fest event that has been a categorical success and that provides Abingdon with a unique event that is wholly befitting of its character and history. But more than any of those visible things, there's the innumerable resources and support that have been channeled to various town merchants and businesses over the years in the form of grants, cost-free consultations, trainings from a variety of experts and professionals. The Main Street program is not a merchant association. It is not an economic development office. It is not the tourism office. It's not in charge of special events. And while the program certainly encompasses elements of all of those things, its primary purpose is otherwise. It is a preservation-based program. It is a community development program. It exists to channel resources and money from a wide variety of sources and in a whole host of forms. Such work is not very often high profile, nor is it often splashy kinds of work, but it is vital. I don't want to leave the impression that Abingdon Main Street is perfect. I have never worked with an organization that is, and believe me when I tell you that we welcome all the help and support that anyone would give us. But it has and continues to play an important role in making the most of our town's assets. The fact that our board includes members who are owners and managers of some of the most prominent and successful businesses of this town speaks to that. That it also includes members who are citizens, who care about the long-term prosperity and energy of their community also speaks to that. Within sight of the Main Street office, there's a great big construction project going on, a giant retail center out by the interstate. And that's a fine thing, and we understand the importance of that. It's a project that the town has poured a whole lot of time and effort and money into. The financial support that Abingdon Main Street is asking you for is a paltry sum compared to that project and to that work. But what that support for this program says about our town's commitment to all the great things that make it unique, that make it lively, that make it an incredible place to live and visit is worth far more than the small sum that we have asked you to support to downtown. And so I respectfully ask that you continue that commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next presenter is Roger Garrett with the Washington County Fair.
Good afternoon. Mr. Mayor and members of council and ladies and gentlemen, I am Roger Garrett, president of the Washington County Fair. And I want to thank you for your support that you have given us in the past. And I'll make note here that the fair began, I think it was 1948, as the Burley Tobacco Festival. And then the name was changed in mid-80s sometime, and I don't have that date. And I really didn't have that in my notes, I just happened. But I see in the town seal, we still have a tobacco plant and a beef animal. So we've been closely related, you know, somewhere along the way. But anyway, our sincere thanks to you for your support in the past. And, you know, we are a 501c3 organization. We're nonprofit. We own the property and the facilities, so on and so forth, but we still have financial obligations besides just the continual maintenance, you know, and needs for improvement. And long story short, you know, we always need help. Washington County Fair has no salaried employees. There's not any salaries paid. We're an all volunteer organization. And we provide a venue where 4-H, FFA kids and other young farmer programs throughout the county can present their accomplishments for the year and their respective products, whatever that may be. But at that 1 week, the second week of September of each year, they can present those at the county fair. Also, the fair welcomes any products and processes and the products of home economics that are produced throughout the homes in the county and the town. It's not just related to the county, but we have town gardeners and canners and bakers and so on that bring their products there too to display and be judged. There are livestock shows, judging for animals that are produced in the county. And something else we do, we try to bring in younger children, pre-K, kindergarten, those ages, to give them a tour of the fair, let them see the animals and try to explain, you know, where the animals come from, where the milk comes from, maybe where the hamburgers come from other than McDonald's and those things. So we try to do that. We have senior days, which we invite senior citizens in for that day and have different displays and special programs for them. And then along we have school day every Friday at the fair, where the school in the county lets out at 1 o'clock, and the kids mostly all come to the fair that day along with teachers and other school personnel. And in addition to all this, the fair facilities can be used, you know, for other functions, meetings and shows of other natures. And we have the opportunity to expand the use of the facilities, you know, for other functions. And this last summer, we did host the antique show for the Virginia Highlands Festival, which was mentioned here a few minutes ago. And we hope to do that again this year. We're in discussion with that, and I don't know of any reason why we won't. But there's cattle sales and cattle shows and horse shows and equipment sales and shows there on the facility also. But as with any facility, there's always upkeep problems with the infrastructure. You know, there's problems with water lines and paving and plumbing and heating and cooling. and roofs. You know, roofs are a big thing, and we have a lot of roofs at the fairground that have to be maintained. And there's lighting and electrical problems too. So our request here this year has been, was $4,000, and then we sent in, after some discussion with someone, an amended request for $20,000 to be used maybe toward the purchase of a new roof. And what we're going to do is to apply to the Virginia Tobacco Commission for funds to replace a roof. And if those funds happen to be approved, then of course, whatever that amount is, we have to come up with half of that amount to do that. So that's what we're asking for. So again, thank you for the support you've given us in the past. And we request that you seriously consider, you know, the request that we made, you know, for this year. Thank you very much for allowing me to attempt.
Thank you. I have a question. Could you tell us primarily what your income is from? Is it through admission tickets and so on for the fest?
Well,
for the
some
fair?
of it will come through admission tickets, some will come through rentals that we have, you know, renting buildings. And then some will come through advertising, we run advertising booking. And then some will come through, we get a contribution every now and then from somebody, so that's where the income comes from.
Is there any other government funding that you get from local governments? Like
We get some from county, and we get some from you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Gary.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is David Richardson and Ms. Powers with the District 3 Governmental Cooperative.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Craig, members of the council, my name is David Richardson. I'm the Director of District 3 Governmental Cooperative. This is Rhiannon Powers. She's the Director of Administration. We want to thank you for the opportunity to let us present today. If you're not familiar with District 3, Mayor Craig is our representative and a dedicated member, and we appreciate it. We are joint exercise of powers. We serve the Mount Rogers Planning District. We are represented by the 11 local governments, 6 counties, 3 towns of Abingdon, Marion, and Wytheville, in the cities of Galax and Bristol, Virginia. So what is District 3? If you're not familiar, we are kind of twofold. We are the area agency on aging for our area, and we're also the public transit. And so a little bit of a background of as far as the area agency on aging, each locality pays 59 cents per capita to leverage those senior services. And I apologize, we don't have it broken out by town. There's more than 1,300 residents of Washington County that was served senior services last year. These would include home delivered meals, meals at the senior center activities, construction of wheelchair ramps, minor home repairs, the farmers market coupon program you may be familiar with, which is a very popular program. We have emergency financial services, homemaker program, which is light housekeeping for those who are unable to do that, respite services for caregivers, money management, veterans fiduciary services. We provide some one-on-one senior medical transportation, caregiver support groups, legal assistance, volunteer guardianship program, and many others. And so we were, and the aging budget is about, for the district, is about $3.5 million. So the local match is not a large percentage of it, but it's an absolute vital percentage to leverage those state and federal dollars. The other major thing that you all provide is, and if you've seen it, the Abingdon Transit or the Lynx Transit, the bus system. Last year,
we transported over 29,000 individuals, boarded the bus, traveled more than 80,000 miles, more than 9,300 hours of service. And our request for funding is the same as last year, and I guess I'll need to then talk a little bit about the transit. Mayor Craig and Ms. Patterson, if they may remember last year, I said we were operating some services that we did not have the local match for, and then you had the outgoing council members, but I said that we probably have to come back next year and eventually talk about this. So to give you a really quick background, and this has nothing to do with any individual in this room because you all were not part of the past group, and don't want to, no one did anything nefarious or misleading. I think everybody was operating in good faith. But when Johnson Memorial Hospital was built, opened in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, the town had asked us, and if a locality who has a transit system wants to run an experimental route, we'll run that experimental route, and then if it looks like it's going to be a success, then we'll come back and ask for the local match. So we did that. We added that bus, and for various reasons, the conversation just kept getting, the can kept getting kicked down the road. In the meantime, we had a Federal Transit Administration kind of mandated transit plan, and so they'd come to each of our town systems, and this, would gauge what they thought would be an adequate transit system. It was at that time, probably 5 years ago, and they were like, you at this point need 3 to 4 bus system. And right now, to give you an idea, it's a 2 bus system. You're paying for 88 hours a week. But we have been we've been providing with the encouragement of past employees, past council members to run those extra buses with the idea that we feel certain that the local match would not be a problem. And so now we're at the point to where we have all new people. Those people have gone away, and we're providing, paying for about 4,400 hours a week of service. And last year we provided 9,300 hours a week. And I'm not here to say you should do that or you shouldn't do that. What I'm here to say, though, is that District 3 is not in a position to keep doing this without the local match. To give you an idea, we are we try to keep those local contributions as inexpensive as possible. It's about, to give you an idea, a bus service is going to cost about $100,000 per bus to run a year. We usually keep our local match somewhere, it's hard to keep it at 10%. We try usually in that 15% range is what most localities pay. 50% is federal, 15% state. We have to make, between you all and what we can produce, that remaining 35%. So District 3 can come up with about, usually around 20% through the way we arrange our finances. So the citizens of the town have become accustomed to this. It would create, great pain for District 3 to start backing out of this, and probably, that would trickle up to you all eventually. And in your defense, that was none of you all making these implications that the funding would be there. To give you an idea of what we're talking about is you pay, right now paying for the optional transit service, 88 hours a week, your match is $24,434. That's separate from the $4,833 of aging services. The to add, it would be about 22,000, an additional 22,000. I'll say 23,000, somewhere in that neighborhood, to leverage the match for the 4-bus system, which would be a total of about 47,000. You can think of it as about $400,000 worth of bus service a year as far as the actual cost. And I know you are not looking for things to fund. It's not like you have extra money and you're asking for more requests, but just know that District 3 probably needs, in fairness to other local governments, that, you know, we typically run these experimental routes for a year, maybe 2, and this is on year 8. And you know, I'm kind of in an awkward situation as far as I don't want to cause the town grief. I don't want to cause myself grief. And we will do whatever you all ultimately want to do. But I would just ask for the town to give me some guidance in sometime in the near future as to the intention of what you would like to do. So sorry about that part, but it did need to be addressed. It was just an unfortunate thing that's happened with the turnover in the last few years of the town. So going back, can I answer any questions as far as anything that I presented?
I don't have a question, but this is something else that we see to that was promised in the past, so to speak, and we're inheriting and learning and discovering things of that nature as we go along. And you know, I'm sorry about the promises that, you know, but
And that's yeah. Thank you.
I know this is a good service. I know some people that do depend on this, and I think it's important for our community to have the service available. And you said 29,000 individuals last year that you all transported. And there's like a circle, I think, that you all travel in.
Right.
And grocery stores and places.
You're right. They're right. These are, as you can imagine, these are people either who can't afford to drive or have become, you know, to the point that they have a disability, can't drive. These are all wheelchair accessible vehicles, or what we call transportation dependent. They may have been a senior who's given up their car. These may be residents of Elder Spirit who, you know, just really want to be green and do, you know, and have a, so you're having people move to your community who are used to a public transit system that provides that, I guess, higher level of service.
They get groceries and
they
also
get groceries,
medication and
yeah.
doctor visits and
Right,
things. It's
right.
very important.
These are
for their health.
this is these are not pleasure trips. This is groceries, pharmacy, doctor's visit,
David, what is this experimental route? Is that a route that goes out to the hospital?
It was the route, yes, sir. It was the route that went out to the hospital, and then it was I guess the fourth route was just the growth that continued within the town. Just the demand continued there's a lot of, as you all know, there's a lot of Abingdon outside of the town limits, and people, maybe people need to go to the food banks or the down to Highlands Church, or we get a number of requests for things that residents want and need and to access. We have some lower income people that use this to get to their job.
So what you're asking us is, how much money do we need to come up with to keep the experimental route? What do we owe you?
Well, it would be it would be $22,464.
That's in addition to what we.
In addition to what request is in front of you, and I didn't.
No, I'm sorry, but let me interrupt here.
Yes, sir.
I'm finding a little confusion on my part about what's requested here. What I'm seeing on my list is requested is 0.00, but I also see $4,833. And I heard something about $24,000.
Okay.
So.
I don't know about the zero request. I don't think
I
that
assume
was.
that's not right.
Okay, the $4,833, that is the 59 cents per capita that is to be a member of
Okay.
District 3 Governmental Cooperative. That's an assessment. That's to have a seat at the table for aging services. Okay. Then any transit service is optional. And you've been running a transit system since the 90s.
Right,
And
right.
the local match currently on that, the current request is $24,434 for the 88 hours of weekly service. And right, that's a two-bus service. The two,
Yeah, see right there, 0, 0. Okay. So that's in a different budget.
Budget.
But wait a minute, what's in a different budget? The 24? Okay. Thank you.
So it's already in there.
We got you covered.
I got a bigger problem than I thought I did.
I couldn't figure out where all these numbers are coming from.
Right. And I apologize, this is probably not the correct form, but I don't know what the correct form is to kind of discuss this.
Yeah, you,
Right.
we did.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm glad to get these
right,
things sorted out.
yeah,
Thank you so
I
much.
do apologize for that. So, and let me say this, I'm not gonna say July 1st, we're gonna shut the two buses down, the two extra. This is not what I'm trying to, I'm not trying to put you all put you over a barrel. Just trying to, come up with a plan that works for our agency and works for the town. But for the full year, there would be an additional $22,464 to maintain the service level, the bus service level at what it is. There again, I don't want to, it's more of a, we believe in this, we want to try to support this, we need to go back and study this, that's understandable. I'm, not asking for an answer. The only answer where I would say I would shut it down at July 1st would be, there's absolutely no way we're gonna do, we have no intention of going past there, then I would look at a way for us to dial back that service without, with the least amount of turmoil possible. If there is a good faith, intention from the council to say, we'll study this, we're going to, we'll come back, we may not have an answer right away, but we're willing to at least, work with us and find something to do this, then, we're certainly willing to work as well. So and let me say this, the town of Abingdon has been a wonderful partner with District 3, and I apologize that this circumstance has come up, but just need to, we either need to do it or we need to move on and
We need to know, and thank you for telling us.
right.
Thank you, sir.
And David, we'll bring this up at a meeting. We'll put it on the agenda and bring this up in a meeting and give you an answer.
Thank you, Mayor, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for what you do for the
All right.
citizens. That's very,
We-
very, I'm
Thank you
grateful
all
for the
for
service.
your support.
We all
Yes.
appreciate that service. Thank you
Yes,
so much.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Take care.
Thank you,
Our
Mr.
next
Bradley.
presenter is Nita Farmer with Washington County Chamber of Commerce.
Go.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
So
Ms.
nice
Howard.
to see all of you, and I just want to thank you on behalf of the Washington County Chamber of Commerce. We're certainly glad for everything you do for us. I've been with the Chamber for many years. I've served every position within the Chamber, came on as the Executive Vice President in April, and just support all of you because without you, we wouldn't be here. And so I'm here just asking for our usual funding. Usual funding is $15,000, and with that is for our services and programs that we do throughout the year. We also have our Leadership Washington County program. Cindy's been a part. I hope you've enjoyed it.
I have.
They'll be graduating next month on the 26th. Also doing a ribbon cutting for your team project that you're doing. So we're busy working different things like that. Also, we serve as the fiscal agent for the Washington County Business Challenge. We're just finishing our 6th year. Just finished those classes, and I hope you can come tomorrow. We really appreciate everything you've done there. You've been a founding supporter for us since it started in 2014. We have 180 people coming tomorrow.
That's
to
good.
see that.
That's wonderful.
So I think you'll be really pleased. We had a great, we started out with 22 applicants. Of those, 15 gave their business plans and everything, and very strong competitors. So anyway, the reason I just wanted to let you know that we work hand in hand with the Abington Convention and Visitors Bureau, with Jane and her employees, also with Tanya. She's been very instrumental. We just appreciate all the services that you provide us. Although we have the Washington County name, the majority of everything we do is in Abington. We finished last year, we had 19 ribbon cuttings and 1 groundbreaking. We've already started this year with 4 ribbon cuttings. We'll have our 5th one next week. So I just ask you if you have any questions of us that I can supply any information for you.
Thank you for what you all do for the county and for the town, for all the businesses.
Is it on this list? Anybody else find it?
Alan, I need
Nita,
a
this
bigger
is
font.
not your problem. This is our problem. Okay.
But anyway, thank you for
Well,
everything.
I thank all of
Yeah,
you, I really
we
do.
need a
Thank
bigger
you for
font.
coming to the ribbon cuttings, and
Where is it?
another thing, out of the allotment, you know, we invite all of the town council, every town employee to come to our breakfast to see what's going on, and we do that free for what you provide for us.
Thank you. I hope y'all can come to my graduation too, everybody.
Yeah, gotta watch her graduate.
Yep. You all have, thank you
Mayor
so much
Craig,
again.
council members, Mr. Venom, and Mrs. Kinsley, thank you for all your support.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is Betsy White at the William King Museum of Art.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Betsy White, William King Museum of Art, 415 Academy Drive. Like everybody, I certainly thank you on behalf of everybody at the museum for your support each year. In fact, this town has been instrumental in its growth from the very beginning, and its generosity has meant that it was able to grow with a sense of excellence that I hope that you all appreciate. It is really the only accredited museum, nationally accredited museum this side of Roanoke, which means a whole lot in our public service and in the caliber of our exhibitions and our programs, and that's really largely due to Abington itself. We have 2 partnerships, 2 fairly new partnerships with Abington, one being the Findlay House exhibit of the O. Winston Link photography. I hope you all have seen that. It's been very well received. The numbers have been very good. We work very closely with the Visitor and Convention Bureau. They are, as a matter of fact, working more closely with us all the time now. Our visitor numbers are growing. Everything is very good up there, and I'm happy to report that. The O. Winston Link exhibit will open soon again, as you know, for the spring season. And secondly, you may not know this as well. I guess Nita has gone, but in the county building, we have our partnership between the town and the county and the museum for the World War I small exhibit. I know that Mr. Vidham and I and Jason Berry took a nice photograph that I think all of you all got. But it's a small exhibit, but it's very important and very nice. It is purely the town's artifacts that are there, from the collection, from a lot of Ed Hill's collection from a long time ago, particularly the dressed uniform of the World War I soldier. But it's very nice, and it's a very nice partnership to show the visitors that go into the county building. So I appreciate that. We are merely facilitating that at this point. It's really the town's artifacts and the county's place. I guess Nita oversees it every day on a daily basis. This is a busy spring, continuing growth up there. Our renovation of the county building into the new Center for Studio Art and Education is about to begin, as a matter of fact, next week. Trademark of Virginia is the contractor for that. That renovation project is fully funded. It's $1 million project. The town of Abingdon is participating as an in-kind participant. As you well know, you demolished the former band building, the block building there, for parking that will be focused on this new Center for Studio Art and Education. It's the county building. It's going to be filled with a new approach to art, a Mac lab and 3D printers and all kinds of things that are an underlying agenda of helping to make art a vocation rather than just a avocation for students, high school level and college level, as well as adults. It's fully funded, as I said, with federal, state, and local support. $500,000 from the Appalachian Regional Commission, which has been matched by a $250,000 grant from an organization called the Educational Foundation of America. And I had never even heard of them, but they came here and had a small meeting here, went up there and liked our contemporary program so well that they actually approached us, and we worked with them to the point that they were participating in this particular grant. It's a very big deal. And then the rest of the grant match for the ARC funds is local support. So we have a lot of support going up there right this minute. And that new center will be, the Tobacco Commission is funding it too, is funding the big Mac lab. And they are doing this as well as ARC because of the recognition of that campus and everything that's on it as a real growing regional asset for tourism and economic development. So I'm happy to say that everything is really going very well up there. We are continuing, and we have our last thing that we do. Mr. Barrett here talked about helping us, advising us with our handicapped accessibility issues. We are technically that, but it's not so terribly great, and we know that we can do much, much better. We do have plans now that we're rolling right into, just in the planning stage, of a new entrance on the east side, that's this side, that will go straight in to the lower level where the elevator is. I have a photograph here that I'll pass around in just a second, and this is absolute conceptual, but it's a solarium kind of entrance over the entrance that would go in so that people can park there and go straight into there, which is where most people want to park anyway. Virginia Tech has offered us their design assistance in the campus itself, making parking, driving, and our sculpture garden more park-like so that it can be more of an asset for the town of Abingdon's visitors and people who live there. So everything is good. Thank you for your support, ongoing support, and appreciate it very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for those beautiful exhibits. They're wonderful.
They are. I hope you come up soon. I know that I see you there.
Yeah.
Please do. Thank you. Bye.
I'm really enjoying them. Thank you.
Our next presenter is Karen Moore with the Arts Association Arts Depot.
Okay. Mayor Craig, members of the council, my name is Karen Moore. I'm the new arts administrator at the Depot Artists Association, or more affectionately known as the Arts Depot. It's real exciting to hear about what is going on in town with all the arts we have here, and I'm excited to be in this position now. I began working at the Arts Depot on March 6th, and boy, let me tell you, I am impressed. This organization is true to its mission of promoting and supporting regional artists through working artist studios and gallery exhibits, and to provide educational opportunities for our community. As part of the creative economy, our organization has paid more than $13,000 in commissions to area artists for artwork sold at the Arts Depot. We house 3 large galleries providing members, regionally well-known artists, youth, and specially selected exhibits year-round. We are really a cultural treasure trove as well as a top destination in Abingdon. We have over 9,000 visitors, or we did last year, and those are local and also from 44 states and 14 different countries. We are the home of the Virginia Highlands Festival Juried Arts Exhibition every year since 1991. The Arts Depot is hoping to expand our hours of operation this year to add an additional day to our schedule. The funding from the town of Abingdon is vital to our success, as well as the fact that it helps leverage private funding, which we're very good at getting. During fiscal year 2018-19, the Depot Artists Association invested over $6,000 on the restoration of the original floors, bringing them back to their rustic beauty. And I don't know if you've been to see them, but they're gorgeous. The Arts Depot offers quality art, accessibility to artists in their working studios, and education through an interactive experience. We offer programs, classes, and exhibits to adults and youth, and we partner with other organizations in the town and beyond. And I would like to thank you so much for your continued support and helping us keep the Arts Depot alive and active. We love our home, and please visit our galleries monthly to see our new artwork. And I look forward to working with each and every one of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's another asset for Abingdon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next presenter is Doug Beatty with White's Mill.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Well, I've never been through this experience before. It's a long afternoon for you guys. A lot of hands out. I'm here on behalf of White's Mill. Everybody knows White's Mill? Been to it?
Yes.
So you've noticed over the past 5 years, we've done an extensive renovation over there. The building was in quite poor shape and getting ready to fall down. We've got everything back together now. The water flume is working and the axle turns. We're in our next phase, getting ready to attach the stones to the axle so we can actually stone grind again at the mill. And over the past 2 years, we've developed some key strategic relationships, one with the Virginia Agricultural Extension Service, and then also with Virginia Highlands Community College. And as we finish the renovation, we're moving towards becoming more of a cultural and education center for the community. Last year, we held 5 concerts out at the mill, barbecue events. They primarily serve as our fundraisers. We're also working with the John Battle High School. They have a fisheries program there. We're going to put the pond back into work out at the mill so people can actually pay and go fishing. So where we're actually moving to now is being able to sustain the mill without having to put our hand out all the time. Each year we've been getting funding from the town. Each year it's been getting less and less. And now we're really at a point now where we need that funding. We've exhausted the grants that we've been using. We have another grant that we've applied for. We're going to start work on the Miller's house across the street. But now we have educational programs out there. We have cultural events like music and things like that. It's beginning to take on a real life of its own. And one of the key things about the mill is that it's also open on the weekends. It's one of the things that this town is sorely lacking. At my restaurant here all the time, there's nothing to do in this town on Sunday. The mill is open during tourist season on Sundays. We have events out there on Sundays, those kind of things. So as Abingdon is trying to figure out how we're going to evolve past the coal industry and what we're going to be, tourism is a big part of what we do, and we need to fund it. If we don't fund it, they'll end up being closed when the tourists are here. The tourists will start thinking, we need to find a new place to go to. So I want you to fund it. I'd like you to fund it for 3 times what we asked for, but you can do what you can. And as I said, we're trying to move towards a business model that sustains itself. And that's ultimately what I'm sure you all would like to see too. So that's where we're at. Anything I can answer for you, I will.
I just have a question about the miller's house versus the mill itself. Is there not any room in the mill itself or the gift shop to attract people there? Or, I mean, and I'm just, there may be so many items that it's not gonna be.
Well, there's a gift shop in the other house across the street.
Right.
And the Miller's house is the old one across the street. So that one, the way the Virginia Historic Resources grants work is you have to do the historic properties. So the gift shop doesn't necessarily meet that criteria, but the Miller house across the street. So what we're want to do is to renovate that house, put a full-time milliner there, and have them actually run this as a ongoing daily venture that people can actually go out to anytime, watch milling being done, see heritage crops being grown, those kind of things, the things that took place out there at the beginning of the 20th century.
Okay.
We've involved the Boy Scouts, like I said, the community college. We're looking at putting solar out there, water power out there, those kind of things. So it's going to become really a working laboratory as well.
Well, that's good. That's really good.
It's a great project. I've really enjoyed being a part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doug.
Thanks.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Doug.
Our next presenter is Kenny Schuman with the EDA.
Thank you very much. I'm Kenny Schuman. I chair the Economic Development Authority. I think you all know what it is we do because we've been before you on a number of occasions, so I'm going to spend very little time here. Our request is for $16,000 basically to cover three things. One, $4,000 is to cover training. We're actively pursuing opportunities for something somewhat similar, although less complex than what the training is for the Planning Commission. We have 3 new members who are young. We think they're going to be leaders in the future, and we think this type of training is very important. So that's number one. Number two is $10,000 for the Facade Improvement Program, working with Main Street Abingdon. They have a grant for that amount. We would put in that amount. The business owners have to put in a similar amount. And then there are services that are rendered to the people the applicants from Main Street, Virginia. And what Main Street, Virginia does is they have an architect out of Stanton, and she will actually do all the drawings and put together what would come before the Planning Commission. And, you know, the 3 businesses that we have worked with them on, I think have been very successful. So basically what would happen in that situation is for every $1 that we would contribute or the town would contribute, we get about a $4 response to that. And again, I think that the better the downtown looks, the more people you have to come there. And then additionally, there are people who, when they come to look at economic development of town, I think it's more attractive for them to be there. And the final one is that Tanya Triplett is working with some businesses outside the footprint of Main Street Abingdon. There'll be 3 of those projects that'll come before the Planning Commission on Monday night. And so there'd be about $5,000 for that. So that's what we're looking for in our budget request. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. All right, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenny.
Our next presenter is Mark Adams with the Abington Housing Authority.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Adams. I'm the Executive Director of the Abington Redevelopment and Housing Authority. I would first like to thank the council members, both past and present, for their support of Abington Housing Authority. The funding we receive from the town really does make a difference in the lives of the residents of our town. The Housing Authority operates 2 programs through the Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD. First, we have 28 public housing units that we operate and manage. Secondly, we have the Housing Choice Voucher Program, or some people call it Section 8. We also do that program as well. Current funding levels allow us to serve right around 100 vouchers, and that varies from month to month. We receive funding for these two programs from HUD. Since HUD is operating under a continuing resolution, we are unsure of the level of funding we will be receiving in the coming fiscal year. Federal budgetary constraints could severely limit our ability to help those in need. And it just seems like we're always falling just a little bit short in having enough funding for both those programs. We also have a program in which we can help low-income town residents with much-needed home repair projects. New roofs, electrical and plumbing repairs, new heat pumps, and accessibility improvements to persons with mobility issues are just a few of the improvements which have been made to residents' homes with the financial support of the town so far this year. We were also able to partner with the Washington County chapter of Habitat Humanity on a couple of those projects. And it's always a win-win for all parties when we can partner with them and, able to leverage our resources with their organization. We also started another program over the past year in which we can help applicants to our programs, both public housing and the voucher program, with move-in costs such as security deposits or utility connection fees. Because we found that those kind of costs were a barrier to some families who would otherwise be able to qualify for assistance. Requests for assistance come into our office on a daily basis, and we're able to see firsthand the positive impact the appropriations from the town are making for residents who are in need. The commitment from the town will ensure our programs will be able to provide decent, safe, and affordable housing to town residents. We certainly do not take funding from the town for granted, and we will strive to continue to be good stewards of the funding we receive. Simply stated, the funding our agency receives from the town is critical to the continuation of all of our programs. And I understand the town is facing some unique challenges to this year's budget, but we would like to request the council's consideration for continued support of our programs for the next fiscal year. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
My wife tries to help people get housing. She comes in contact with some impoverished people. She helped them, referred them to your office, and they got a voucher, but they didn't take vouchers.
That is a big challenge. Lack of available housing in the town, lack of affordable housing is a huge impediment.
Well,
People can get a voucher and not even find a place to live.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, yeah. But that does happen, unfortunately.
Okay. Just not enough housing.
Affordable housing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for what you can do for people. I mean, that's
Well,
an
thank you guys for
asset
your
as
support.
well.
I served on Mark's board for quite a while, and there's a great demand for the funds that are represented by our contribution to the Housing Authority. And they do a good job with it.
Thanks.
I wish your dad was as good as you were. Will you tell him I said that?
You know my dad?
Yeah, I know he will.
Tom? Tom?
Yes.
Tell him so.
He was head of BVU, right?
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, nice to meet you. Congrats. We had another Daphne Williams with the Brain Injury Services of Southwest Virginia to sign up, but she's let me know that she had to leave, and she's left brochures on the table.
Karen, what do we do now? We're gonna try to decide this non-departmental spending today, or?
At some point, I think Chuck and I are gonna have to have feedback as to what level of funding you want to do, if there's any you want to add fund to, decrease funds from, or.
When do we need to do this? Do we need to do it today, or can we do it and schedule another meeting? What do you all wanna do, council? You wanna stay here today and try to figure this out?
Well, I think it would be hard to do it like this.
Chuck, you go through the process here more than I have.
I think we
What
gotta
do you
have
think is the-
more information in front of us.
If, so we're at the, what's today, 20th? You got your regular meeting on the 1st, if y'all can let me know by the 1st. That's, we can work from that right now as it is. We're getting pretty close to having this thing balanced. So the sooner I get the information, the sooner we can go over. And I apologize for some of those. They didn't even need to show up. For instance, the Chamber of Commerce, the membership, it's not
Okay.
it's not even listed as a non-departmental, but they,
Well, now, something I guess I missed out on, and maybe I shouldn't have expected it, but, some presented information, and others didn't present any information. So we sort of just have to go on what we have here, I think. Did you get presented information?
Yeah, Reba, she's the one who cuts the check, so I've asked her to come in and take notes with me, but she's got
Okay.
and copies of the information that was presented, and, I try to put on that sheet if they presented financial statements of any type and what type they presented, and let you all know that I do have that information if you want me to review it and get you some answers. But it would be helpful if we could do it. I mean, if you all, I don't care how you want to do it. If you want to just write down what you think and me put them together and see what they come out of, as I can do that, or if you all want to reconvene and discuss it, that's fine as well. It doesn't.
Well, I'm open.
Al, what do you want to do?
How do you want to do?
At this point, I'm kind of inclined to set up a meeting in April and get all of us together, and maybe in executive session if we have to, and just sit down and talk about it.
I'm not sure we can do this in closed session.
I don't think
I don't
we
think
can.
you can do.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
think you can do it in closed session, but.
I don't want to
think,
violate it.
Maybe having a workshop where we can sit down and go over each of them and then just get feedback of, do you wanna fund them at the requested level, or reduced level? We had a couple,
Sort of
I think
awesome.
you've been provided a memo that I did after meeting with Chuck this morning on recommendations on a couple of them. Also, I left at your desk or at your place, a response I got from Jason Berry today on what the county is recommending for a number of these. And it may be going forward in future budgets, to consider having because all these people did the same thing last night with the county board. It may be either the managers or the finance directors get together and kind of, okay, here's what these people are asking us, here's what we think. Some of the things, the town is funding some of these organizations almost at the same level as the county. And the county is a much bigger footprint, bigger population, so if you do if you break it down to a per capita, the town is funding a lot of these organizations at a much higher per capita rate than the county is. But I thought that would be good information for you to have as you're looking at what's the county doing. And it seems the one I think I had the other day that I don't have with me now, I think we'd asked them about the Highlands Festival. And I think they fund that at a much lower rate because they consider that a town function more than a county function. Although the Washington County Fair, which you could say is a county function more than a town function, you're funding at about the same level that the county is funding. their recommendation for this year is 4,923. Last year, the town funded them at 4,000.
Well, one thing I was gonna point out to everyone is that, and I don't know if you got a chance to read it or not, but Mrs. Morgan sent Mr. Vidum a letter that he shared with us, and so, you know, I think his synopsis of this year's budget's challenges, you know, I made some points here that really make it important that, you know, for these cuts and because of all these things we've got to do. So I thought you did a great job with that letter.
Thank you, Bud.
A great job.
Yeah.
Really good job. Council, I think we probably need to think this over for a few days. I know I've heard some things today that I need to digest.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Al, are you fixed that it needs to be in April, or can we do this? Chuck wants, I think he would like it, a decision from us by April 1st. I believe that's what you said.
It would be nice.
Could you meet in,
Well, I'll be glad to do it next week.
okay, all right.
But,
May I ask a
could
question?
we get, could we get a form maybe that shows what they're asking and what,
Yeah, that was,
what the town recommends, what the county recommends, and then leave us a place to fill in the blank what we
Yeah,
recommend?
the county recommendations, I don't have that information.
And maybe get it in a size that that it's legible. I can't read this.
well,
I can't read
one
this
thing
thing.
I'd
Well,
like
you
to
know,
ask,
this is terrible, but I said, we needed a larger font
Chuck,
today.
is it fair to ask like where you guys are and how much we need to cut? I mean, where, is that okay to ask Wayne at this
Sure.
point in time?
Yeah, Ken and I
We've had to
talked
shrink
this
it.
morning, I think, if we could reduce those requests, like I said, from what was allocated last year by 100,000, like, I mean, we discussed and we had the kind of budget meeting, met with you and Mr. Craig on. And with that said, with kind of delaying the hiring of the two positions, which is one of them being the firefighter, the other one being in the building department, until January, that gets us really close.
She's saying you need the mic.
Cool.
This is live
We're
stream.
still doing the live stream.
That gets you really close to where you want to have to be. And that would be funding the things that you all had
Yeah.
priorities was. And it also, I think we can do it, I think me and Ken talked about, we were about within $40-some thousand of doing it without
Raising taxes.
raising taxes.
See, that would be great.
So,
yeah,
Oh,
I don't.
I mean, it's been an arduous task to
Yeah.
get to,
Oh, sure, yeah.
but Ken and I feel like we can find $40,000 in the budget to whittle to get you all balanced.
That'd be great.
Now, the caveat to that, I guess, would be that is if, you know, funding changes are not made that add more in.
Yeah, we can't add anything else
We,
to
for
it.
instance, do not have in the budget for the additional 2 bus routes.
No.
That's something that,
The only thing that's in that transit budget's 24,000 that he mentioned in his presentation.
Well, was
I'm
this,
confused
this
about that.
unexpected today? Was this unexpected?
What it
See, I-
sound, you know, what I gathered from it, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but what I gathered from it is there was, you know, verbal commitments made.
Yeah, that's what I
That we were
heard.
gonna adopt this. It's been pushed and pushed and pushed back, and now he's just asking for another verbal commitment so that we have a plan.
These are things that we need to think about.
Yeah.
We really need to give these people an answer because I'm on their board and I understand the issue.
Well, there's a lot of things that I want to get clear, and one thing is, you said that they were funded already before they went out.
In
So
the
are they
transit
funded for,
budget.
are they funded for $4,833?
That's out of the non-departmental line, which is on that sheet.
Okay.
And then the other
Can you show that to
24,000.
us, because I don't want to be
Yeah,
confused
and
anymore.
that other
That's right.
24,000 is in the transit budget.
So they're
Yeah,
already
and the
funded.
transit budget's
Okay,
not on
I
here.
can't hear. I'm sorry. Tell me,
They're already right there.
Okay.
40, 30, but the yellow ones are already funded.
The yellow one's funded, but
Yeah.
where's the 24?
It's in the transit budget.
It's not on this sheet.
It's not on this
It's not on
sheet,
that sheet,
No.
nope.
but it's
It's like the
on,
chamber wasn't on this sheet.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
on
the
the
chamber's a
departmental,
membership,
it's
yeah.
on the departmental budget side.
Yeah, it's
of
inside
that.
departmental.
I see
All right,
things
so
up here in
it's-
yellow, blue, and green, but I don't see what that means.
Right,
It's
So-
right back here.
Tells you right here.
Okay, well, I'm still not, done.
Timothy,
Done.
Let me explain it to you. What he told us is he's not asking for an increase. However, we are not paying right
Well,
now
yeah.
for the experimental routes. And we've been doing that for, not paying it for 8 years.
8 years.
And so he needs to, we need to decide whether we're gonna do away with that and give him an answer, because the rest of the localities can't continue to pay our share forever.
Cindy,
What's
I
the
think it's put up or
$24,000
shut
for?
up time.
The
Yeah,
original
it is.
routes, I'm assuming,
It's
I
two
don't know.
buses.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think we're
assuming
getting
the
two buses
original.
for
routes.
Okay, so that's the two buses. Okay, I got that
So
now.
now you need
Okay.
to find 60
I mean,
instead of
the
40.
way I inferred from what he said is if we say, you know what, we're gonna make that commitment to you, we're gonna try to find the money over the next 6 or 8 months, they probably would be fine with it.
I think they would,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean-
I've got a meeting tomorrow night, and I'll talk with them about
Yeah,
that.
I mean, I don't,
But I don't know if they're willing to go another full fiscal year on that.
right.
So-
Okay, well, the other thing that I'd like to ask about is, when we have our work session, can we combine our work session with questions and work on departmental and non-departmental? Or are you all wanting it just non-departmental?
Well, it would be, in my opinion, it would just be a budget meeting.
Yeah, so we can ask both, okay, that's what I'd like to do. And Mr. Banner, the books that you provided us last year with non-departmentals, and we could go write notes and everything on, was so helpful. It showed, like, how much money that they brought in and how much, the county provided, I believe it was, different funds.
And the summary sheets.
And the summary sheets, yeah. And do y'all have those?
I've got, yeah, those are in those packets, the summary sheets. And a lot of times the summary sheets, like the EDA, for example, his summary, he clearly asked for 10,000, but then he told y'all today he needed 16,000.
Yeah, I thought that was kinda weird.
I was like,
But,
it says on here you wanted 10,000. I don't
Yeah,
have to say
and-
anything, but,
So I just
Yeah.
wondered if we get a copy of those, cause we need a copy of
yeah.
those sheets.
We can get
Because
those
it's-
scanned in.
And
Well,
put 'em-
can we get them in a book like that?
Yeah, we
or
used to get them in a book.
be-
I'm not sure, I didn't produce the book, so I'm not sure where the
Who
book
did?
It's very
Oh,
nice.
okay.
Well,
Yeah,
Kim,
they
can we
were.
get them in a book?
I don't have any of the documentation. I'll be happy to if somebody will share it with me.
Yeah,
Will you
Okay.
share it with Kim?
yeah, we've got the documents. I
Can,
mean.
can your island send that to
Well,
Kim's
and then-
Island?
Huh?
Can your island send that to Kim's Island?
Yeah, we can
We'd
get it.
love that.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
then
they were
this
very
book,
nice, yeah.
when does
that
this?
book doesn't come out till you have a balanced budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
That's the-
still, you know,
I don't, we can't create that until we're ready to go to,
That's the set in stone.
yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
set in stone
that's the
version.
I thought
final.
we got did we get a draft? Did we get a draft, Mr. Craig, last year? I don't
remember, Cindy, I'm sorry.
either, I'm trying to
Kim,
remember,
did we
but
get
the
a
book
draft?
was like
Okay.
this.
We did the
That was-
departmental up on the screen.
You
Yeah.
did.
Right after
That was
this
wonderful.
Yeah.
meeting today, Chuck went through the screen, and Kathy had in her head a plan. Unfortunately, I don't have a plan in my head, because we're trying to cut $100,000 out. The Veterans Park wants 75 that weren't in there last year.
Yeah,
And we got this bus issue, and it's not clear to me how we're gonna cut $100,000.
And is this all the non-departmental meeting that we're gonna have? Cause I thought we were gonna have the Veterans Park come.
I don't think anybody came to.
They were
It was
invited
coming
here
up.
today.
Invited, yeah.
It was come to the next meeting.
Oh, the first? Oh, okay, okay.
Well,
The-
Are we gonna meet next week?
That's what I'd like to do. Cindy, are you okay?
Oh,
with
yeah,
that?
if I can, surely, yes.
Donna, are you okay
I'm
with
I'm
that?
getting my calendar right
You
now.
have any time next week?
28th, Thursday, I think is my day off next week.
All right.
28.
Can
I will
you
be
do the
out.
28th?
Yes, I
Donna?
can.
I'm in Charlotte.
During the day.
Donna?
No,
what, he said, I don't think he said he.
I'll be out of town on 28th.
Oh, you'll be
Yeah,
out
I've
of
got an
town.
Edmonds
But
meeting.
now, if y'all have to meet without me, I mean, y'all can
No,
go
we
in.
don't wanna meet without you.
We can't do that.
Can you, 7 o'clock, can you all meet at night?
No, not on the 28th,
Not on a
sir.
Thursday.
I can meet on any night
No,
at seven.
no, I'm not, yeah,
Yeah,
any
okay.
night.
Any night at seven.
Yeah.
Well, name
Yeah.
one.
Name one.
Cindy, you name one.
I don't remember
I
if
know
I've
some
got
good
something on the
nights.
26th or not, but, well, let's say
Monday
the
is planning commission, so
27th.
Do we have anything on our calendar?
Planning commission on
We don't,
Monday.
do we?
Al,
Planning commission
What'd you say?
Monday night.
Planning commission on Monday.
Well, what about
So
a
it's not a good
Wednesday?
day.
You
I'll
go
be
to
heading to
church?
Wednesday all right with me?
No,
Wednesday,
heading
I
to
can
Charlotte
be here.
Wednesday
You can
all
do
day.
How about the
I can do Wednesday.
27th?
He's gonna be gone Wednesday.
Let me ask her that, yeah.
I can
yeah.
do Wednesday.
You
Yeah, she
can do
said
Wednesday.
He's gonna be gone
Yeah.
Wednesday.
I didn't
Chuck's
hear
gonna be
her.
gone Wednesday.
Chuck's gonna be gone Wednesday.
Can you do the 27th?
I can, but Chuck can't.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, I'll be leaving Charlotte. We got meetings all day with our software company, and then that's all day on Thursday. So
I can do Tuesday night.
Tuesday's fine.
Can you do Tuesday night?
I
Al?
can do
How about
Tuesday.
Monday night?
No, planning
Planning
commission.
commission?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. The 29th? No, you're gonna be gone.
Can you do the 26th, Cindy?
There's something in my mind about the 26th that I didn't get on this calendar, but
If it's not on your calendar, maybe.
I know, but it came up. I just didn't get it on the calendar. Let me look one more place here, okay?
Would you like for me to sing?
No. Okay, that's April 26th. Okay, yeah, I can
Didn't
do
think so.
that, thank you.
Okay,
April.
7 o'clock.
March.
7 o'clock,
26th.
the
7
26th.
o'clock next Tuesday.
So y'all just
March
continuing this meeting till
26th.
then.
So it'll be a work session downstairs? Is that what you want, Mayor Craig?
That's what we normally do.
7
Okay.
o'clock, March 26th. I think you said April was the reason I keep saying March.
That's okay.
Okay, we'll just continue this meeting. Is that okay, Mr. Bidham?
Yes, I think it would be, or just.
We'll be in recess then until then.
Okay. All right, I got my calendar. Marked on my
Thank you.
calendar.
Thank you.
It's been fun.
Gosh, nobody wanted me to sing.
Well, you can.